Are you struggling to shed stubborn belly fat and keep it off for good? In today's episode, we're going to kick off part 1 of my 7-part series, which will guide you step by step through the Fat Loss Forever Pyramid. You'll learn how to set yourself up for consistency and sustainability, which is the first and most important step for lasting fat loss. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to create a sustainable routine that leads to real results. Before we dive in, if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, make sure you hit the follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe below. Today, I am really excited to kick off a 7-part series that is going to be absolutely critical for you guys. And this 7-part series is going to be something that you really want to take in. Obviously, take notes on it, but I really want you to take it in because this 7-part series is going to give you a guide for really how to think about health and how to think about fat loss and how to do it in a manner that is strategic and how to do it in a manner that is healthy. And so I'm going to run through what's called the Fat Loss Forever Pyramid. Now, this is not something that I created. This is something that was created by Dr. Eric Helms, and he has a PhD in strength and conditioning. He's a bodybuilding pro, and he works for the Sports Performance Research Institute in New Zealand. And this is something that I actually ran into through a continuing education course that I did for my nutrition certification and personal trainer certification. And that was through Dr. Lane Norton, who's also one of the top experts in this field of body composition and health and fitness and performance. And so this Fat Loss Forever Pyramid is not something that I created, but I will dive into the pyramid and how I teach my clients to apply a lot of the things that are in the pyramid and how you can apply it as well. So I'm going to run through in each of the next 7 10WT Tips episodes. I'm going to run through the 7-step pyramid, but in each of the episodes, I'm going to do a deep dive into each of the individual steps. So today we'll dive deeper into step 1. I'm going to run through all 7, but then I'll dive deeply into step 1, and then I'll do the same thing with the preceding steps in the coming weeks. So what I mean by this Fat Loss Forever Pyramid is the bottom of the pyramid is the foundation. It is the most important thing that needs to be executed upon before moving to the next step. It's like if you don't lay the foundation, the next step doesn't matter. You don't even worry about doing the things at the top of the pyramid if you haven't done the things down below it. So that's why I'm going at the bottom, really talking about it, and then going up step by step from there. Again, think about it from the standpoint of laying the foundations for your habits. And then how can I stack these habits slowly but surely over time to ensure that I can continue to lose body fat if that's my goal. And it's not just something that's going to help you for fat loss. It's going to be something that helps you for general health and for muscle gain even. So it doesn't matter what your goal is, understanding this Fat Loss Forever Pyramid and the principles behind it are going to allow you to get closer to your health and fitness goals. So the bottom of the pyramid, step 1, is all about sustainability and adherence, meaning that if what you're doing is not sustainable, then you will not adhere to it, meaning you will not execute it, you will not follow it. And if you don't follow it, you're not going to see results. So sustainable and adherence, sustainability and adherence. You need to be able to do something that you can continually do over time because only does consistency lead to results. That's the one we're going to be diving deeper into today, but I'm going to go through the other 6. The second step is to be in a caloric deficit. In order to achieve the goal of fat loss, the only way that you can do that is if you are in an energy deficit, when your energy expenditure is greater than your energy intake. And when we dive into it next week, we're going to be talking all about intake and how to measure intake. We're going to be talking all about expenditure and how to ensure that you're actually creating a significant enough caloric deficit so that you can actually lose body fat. We're going to be diving into a lot of nutritional things, a lot of metabolic things in that episode, so look forward to that. Step number 3 is going to be exercise, and we're going to talk all about the combination of resistance training and cardiovascular activity and the role that each of those two plays when it comes to seeing fat loss in our body. Then step number 4 is self-monitoring. It's creating a system that you can monitor your own behavior because what gets tracked gets managed. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets measured is you have the ability to make progress on. And so we're going to talk about creating a scoreboard, how to do that. What are the things that you should be tracking? What are the things that you don't need to be tracking and everything like that? Then step number 5 is protein and fiber. These are two of the things that we really want to leverage when it comes to achieving the goal of body fat loss for a lot of different reasons, when it comes to muscle, when it comes to quieting our hunger signals, so on and so forth. Then step number 6 is going to be carbs and fats. It's like, okay, protein and fiber needs to be the foundation of our diet and the foundation of our meals. But then how do we appropriately add in carbs and fats on top of that? Because carbs and fats are going to be our primary energy sources in our body. So it's like, how many carbs do we need in? How many fats? How do we find the right balance, etc.? So that's going to be step 6. And then the seventh and final step of this fat loss forever pyramid, and the tippy top of the pyramid, is going to be supplements. What supplements are worth your while? What supplements are not worth your while? Are they optimal? Do we need them? Do we not need them? And we're going to talk about a lot of different supplements in that as well. But let's get back to the foundation of the pyramid, the most important one, the one that needs to be considered and laid down first before moving on to step 2. And that's sustainability and adherence. The best plan possible means nothing if you can't stick to it. I don't care what plan you lay out for yourself when it comes to either building muscle or losing fat or achieving any other kind of health and fitness goal. It can be the best scientific plan possible, but if you're not going to do it, then it means absolutely nothing. So every single one of us are wired a little bit differently, but we need to find what is sustainable for us. And so today I'm going to talk about a few things that I help people with in the 10-week transformation to ensure consistency with their execution. And so the first thing is knowing what your why looks like. Now in the 10-week transformation, we call this building your big, BYG, your best you goal. And the way that we do this is we identify our why from 3 directions. Your why is like, what is the reason why I'm spending more time, energy, and attention on my health? What is the reason why it's actually worth my while? Because you have to know why, or else you'll see it as futile and you won't do it. So the first step in defining your why is to identify what you want to avoid. Identify what you're running away from. You hear so many people talk about how I hate to lose. You hear so many people and athletes say that I hate to lose more than I actually like winning. And legitimately, physiologically, we would literally run faster when being chased after by a bear than if we were trying to chase down one. There's something about the motivation to run away from that provides us with a sense of urgency. I mean, you guys have heard of so many people who become some of the wealthiest people in the world, but they grew up with absolutely nothing. And they were motivated by never wanting that situation for themselves moving forward in the future for their family. And so they had a sense of urgency. So once you identify what you want to avoid, like I want to avoid having to buy new clothes. I want to avoid not being able to be mobile when I'm older. Once you identify that, that provides you with a sense of urgency to get going and get acting. So that's the first part of your why. The second part is identifying what you want to achieve or what you want to work towards. You see, as human beings, we operate off of motivation, and we get motivation off of a sense of hope or a sense of opportunity. And we operate off of the belief that a goal is possible to achieve. And then we also operate off of seeing ourselves making progress towards that said goal. So what do we need? We need some sort of a goal. We need some sort of direction, because if we don't have a goal, we don't have any motivation to act. And so when you identify what you're working towards, that provides you with direction. Working away from provides you with urgency. Working towards provides you with direction. And then the third and final part of identifying your why is something that a lot of us really know inherently, but we don't take the time to set aside and write down. You know, when you see like a movie, for example, and you see somebody who is potentially experiencing the final moments of their life, but they're fighting like hell to not experience death and to stay alive, what do they usually show? They usually show either flashbacks of their family, or they show visions that the person is having of their kids or their significant other or their parents or other family members or other people of their best friends in their life. Because when we have somebody that we are doing something for, that provides us with perseverance. So the third and final part of identifying a really emotionally powerful why is identifying who you have the ability to positively impact because of the improvements that you're going to make with your health and fitness. I think a lot of us don't really even realize and tie the improvement of our health with the improved ability to serve the people that we love. But we really need to be thinking about it that way if we really want to stay as motivated as we have the ability to stay. So the first step in creating sustainability and adherence and consistency is identifying what your why is by saying what you're trying to avoid, what you're working towards and who you are doing it for. So that's the first part. The second part is identifying your goal. And in the 10-week transformation, we call this setting your success indicator. And the reason we call it success indicator is because it indicates to us that we've been successful by the end of the 10 weeks. So this is our target. This is our aiming point. But how do we set that target? We set a target that is the combination and the balance, I should say, of two things. That's meaningful and believable. Meaningful means it's big enough that provides us with a sense of meaning and really fires us up if we would achieve that goal. But then believable, meaning we actually believe there's a chance we can achieve it. Because it does us no good to set a super lofty goal that would be really meaningful. But then we start moving and working on that goal. And we realize that, man, there's no chance in hell that I could ever achieve that. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to continue to act consistently and adhere to it. Just like if you set a weight loss goal and you start following your diet and you fall behind, if you will, you're not, quote, on track, then you're going to quit. You're going to feel like I'm a failure, this isn't going to work for me, and I'm going to stop doing it. So we need the balance of meaningful and believable. Big enough to get us going, but not overly big to where we don't believe it. This is not telling you to set small goals. This is telling you to set goals that are like, you know what? I believe that if I really apply myself, this goal is achievable. If I really apply myself, this goal is achievable. One more thing on this, and then I'll move on to the next part, is I think a lot of us set goals during a period of time when we are most motivated. And when we are most motivated, we have sometimes an unrealistic expectation as to what our actions are going to be. And that can lead us to setting a goal that is maybe too big. Because there's going to be times when we're down in the dumps. And if we're down in the dumps and that too large of a goal seems way out of this earth, then we're going to not adhere and we're not going to stay consistent. So I'm not telling you to set goals when you're down in the dumps, but just keep in mind that if you're in a really motivated state when setting a particular goal, try to hold yourself back from going too grandiose. So we identified our why. We set a specific goal that we're working towards. The next thing that's really, really critical in order to allow yourself the ability to be sustainable and adherent to your fat loss goal is to identify weekly goals. Because weekly goals provide you with small wins, which create momentum. If you guys ever watch sporting games, the sense of momentum, sporting games, geez, I feel like somebody who doesn't watch sports. If you guys ever watch sports, ever watch football, ever watch basketball, ever watch baseball, ever watch whatever sport that you like to watch, momentum is a real thing. And when you get momentum, man, oh man, you build confidence. You build a sense of there's nobody who can stop me right now. You build a sense of man, this is the type of person that I'm actually becoming. And so when you identify the weekly goals, the goals that you can check off on a every other day basis or maybe everyday basis, you get the sense of I'm achieving some small wins and I'm actually making some progress. And that is absolutely critical because when we feel like we're making progress, then we're going to stay consistent. Now, when it comes to setting these weekly goals, again, it's really important that there are two things: the balance of predictive and workable. Predictive means I believe if I do this, then I will get the result that I want. It means if I work out this much, I believe I'm going to lose body fat. If I eat this, I believe I'm going to lose body fat. So you want to set weekly goals that you believe will give you the outcome that you're actually wanting. That's obvious, but the second part is not as obvious. You want to set weekly goals that are what I like to call workable. Workable, the way that I define workable is it's a thing or an amount of a thing that you're willing and able to do based off of what you've been willing and able to do in the past. So let me give you an example. In the 10-week transformation, we call these weekly goals progress indicators. Why? Because when you do them, it indicates to you that you're making progress towards your overall goal. Let's have an example. If somebody has a goal of losing 10 pounds of body fat. Okay, some of their weekly goals might be, I'm going to work out 4 times a week for an hour, and then I'm going to eat 17 out of my 21 meals as healthy meals that are high in protein and high in fiber. That is predictive because we really believe that if you do those two things, you're going to make progress on your overall goal. But you want to make sure that 4 workouts a week and 17 out of 21 meals is workable. Again, let me run through the definition of workable. It's a goal or an amount of a goal that you're willing and able to do based off of what you've been willing and able to do in the past. And that's an individual by individual basis. If you tell me you want to work out 4 times a week, but you've also told me that you have not worked out in the last 4 months, 4 workouts a week is probably not very workable. If you tell me you want to work out 4 times a week and right now you're maybe doing 2 to 3 times a week, that's probably more workable because it is closer to what your past behavior has been. And one of the best predictors of your future behavior is your past behavior. And so we want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure. And same thing with the goal of 17 out of 21 meals. If you tell me you eat fast food every day of the week or 4 or 5 days of the week, then I'm going to tell you 17 out of 21 meals is out of your wheelhouse. We want to pick something that is in our wheelhouse, that is workable to us based off of what we've been willing and able to do in the past. That is what's going to allow you to consistently adhere to whatever plan that you're following and for that plan to be sustainable for you. And the last thing I want to say on the sustainability and adherence side of things is your expectations are critical. The expectations, not necessarily just of your result. Today, I want to talk about the expectations you place on yourself. Very quickly, those of you guys who've been listening to the podcast a lot, you've heard me say this before, but I believe you have 6 areas of life: your health, your personal life, your career, your finances, your spiritual life, and your relationships. And at any given point in time, you have to allocate your finite resources to those 6 areas. Your finite resources being your time, energy, and your attention. And we oftentimes subconsciously, but sometimes consciously, are allocating our time, energy, and attention across those 6 different areas of life. And we all know at different seasons of life, we need to spend more attention on our finances. We need to spend more attention on our career. We need to spend more attention on our health. And when we spend more of those finite resources in one area of our life, the word finite literally means that we can't spend quite as much in other areas of our life. And so if you're in a season of life right now where you, let's say, just had a newborn or just started a new job or just moved to a new city, you might have less bandwidth to be able to dedicate to the health area of your life. And that's fine. You need to accept that. And so when it comes to setting a plan that is sustainable and that you can adhere to it and be consistent with, you don't want to create a plan that you can't fully dedicate to because your time, energy, and attention is actually needed elsewhere. Don't place an unrealistic expectation that you're going to spend crazy amounts of time, energy, and attention in your health when you actually have to really spend a lot of time on your career right now. Don't do it. If you just had a newborn and you have to spend a lot of time at home, don't tell yourself you're going to work out 7 days a week for an hour. Don't place unrealistic expectations on yourself and then fall short, because then you're just going to kick yourself. And it's not even really your ability to stay disciplined. It's just like your unrealistic expectations that you set for yourself. So again, I'm really excited for the 7-part series on the Fat Loss Forever Pyramid. Remember, it's called a pyramid for a reason. The bottom is the foundation. It is the most important thing that needs to be laid first. You can't put the flame at the top of Statue of Liberty before you build the foundation of it, before you build the base. You got to start at the bottom. You got to lock in the bottom, and then you got to build it one step at a time. You got to lay it one brick at a time. And that's exactly what we're going to do throughout the 7-part series. So make sure you continue to tune in this week and over the next following 6 weeks, if you will, where we dive into things like how to achieve a caloric deficit, how to make sure you leverage exercise in the right way to achieve body fat loss, how best to self-monitor along the way, how to leverage protein and fiber, how many carbs and fats should you be having, and what supplements are worth your while and what supplements are not worth your while. Those are the 7 steps of the Fat Loss Forever Pyramid. Again, I did not create this thing. This was created by Dr. Eric Helms, and I was made aware of it by Dr. Lane Norton, but I'm excited to put my spin on it and really dive deeply into each of them so that I can help you guys achieve your health and fitness goals, achieve the body of your dreams, and look and feel the way you want to look and feel. So if you like this episode, make sure you're following the podcast. If you're not already, hit that follow button on the Apple Podcast app and on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. And more than anything, I hope today allows you to get closer to your health and fitness goals. And ultimately, I hope it allows you to get closer and closer to your best you.